Hello, we are back with I'm back with Giles Edwards and the disembodied voices of Commodore Gilgamesh
Hello.
and Ghoul School, who has another name up there, but you'll know him as Ghoul School
Hello, hello.
from Everything is Terrible, the collective video collective that has been going on for, has it been over a decade officially?
Oh, I think now we're looking at six. I think we just had our 16, Sweet 16.
Ooh, exciting. And let's not undersell them, Greg. According to this information page, they're not a video collective, they're an artist collective,
Whichever.
which uses
Yeah,
video a lot.
whatever you want to do. Again, just say the words. Whatever you feel.
Yeah, whatever you feel. We're not going to stop you.
Mm-mm.
You guys are great or terrible. I'm not sure which.
They're everything.
So I guess like a first question that you just got to get out of the way is how's Jerry Maguire going?
Well, Commodore, you've been fielding it lately at the post office. How's that been looking? What was our last round?
Yeah, usually I go to the post office about once a month when I'm being a good boy. And usually we get between 30 and 50 every time I go in there. And then on the last tour, I think we got like 600 or so. Actually pretty close to 666. So
Wow.
that's not bad for 2
And
weeks
we're
of
looking at,
shows.
so that puts us, lately I've been saying we're around 45,000, give or take, right?
You know what? Where lies and truth intersect is where we're at there. So I think 40,000 is safe to say. 50 is funner to say.
Yeah, but it was 40 a while ago, like last year. So
See, but
I
I
don't
think
know.
I was just thinking about that today. I think I was lying then.
Did we up it last time?
I think maybe.
Then 40 is safe to say. Let's just go with 40,000. That's our answer.
Honestly, if it's more than 1,000, it's the world is not okay, and we should talk about it.
Yeah.
In case anyone doesn't know what we're talking about, they've been collecting Jerry Maguire VHS tapes for at one point, I don't know if this is still a plan, you were going to build a pyramid of them in the desert.
Oh yeah.
Still part of the plan. Still part of the plan. Some finances are getting in the way, but that's not going to stop us.
How many do
You
you
could
Well, at the time that we wanted to do it, well, we thought of it, we had zero. We said we should do a video store and a pyramid. Video store we've done. That went great. That's easier to do temporarily than a pyramid. And at that same time, we got plans. We had a big fundraiser. It was amazing. I mean, it was an amazing, like 2 week. It was essentially a festival, really. But it turns out, nothing's cheap. And no one wants to work anymore.
Yeah, that's the real issue. The
That's the
pyramid
real issue.
builders just we can't find pyramid builders.
Yeah.
You know, pyramids are expensive. They're hard to find.
Yeah, they're really
So-
hard to make.
So what we at 366 Weird Movies know you guys for primarily is Doggy Woggies Poochie Woochies.
Hey, which by the way, thanks so much for putting us on the cover of your book. How many years ago was that now?
That was it was the year Doggy Woggies Poochie Woochies came out. It was on the cover of our yearbook.
2012?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yes, it was the end of 2012 because we put it out at the beginning. Yes. Well, thank you again. That's awesome to have and see.
And now you will be in another book, our big book of movies of 366 movies. And it will actually be there alongside the Holy Mountain, given equal billing with the movie.
Oh, that is
That's-
unbelievable.
It's only fair.
So,
yeah, or it's only fair. I guess I shouldn't be that impressed, right?
so again, if anybody isn't familiar with Everything is Terrible and doesn't know about Doggy Woggies, Poochie Woochies, this is essentially a sort of remake of Orlowski's The Holy Mountain, but done entirely with dog footage, found footage, footage from really bad movies. I think there's probably some like dog training videos thrown in there and stuff. So I guess you guys are fans of the movie, or
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, what are if you're gonna remake? You're gonna remake it. If you're gonna remake any movie, I mean, why wouldn't it be that, right?
that
I
would
mean, we're not gonna do Home Alone or something. It only felt like, yeah, it made perfect sense.
Home Alone with
Still,
dogs would have
still
been
does.
way too easy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And so, like prior to this, I think you'd done mostly sort of they might have been themed, but mostly standalone videos and then sort of compilation videos. But this seemed a little more narratively ambitious when you came up with this idea. Would you say that's true, or am I?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I think that we were really starting to come into our own with the found footage compilation. So we wanted to kind of push it to what we thought was the stupidest level we could come up with.
Yeah, it was the first time that Commodore and I kind of went our own way of just being like, I mean, we had help and stuff like that, but it was our first attempt at being like, let's just kind of almost treat it like at that time it was almost like a side project. I mean, it was definitely was a full-time project, but it felt like, okay, we're just gonna kind of like try this because it's so challenging or whatever. And definitely broke us for sure. I know I've said this many times before, but it I don't know if I ever recovered from it emotionally,
No.
psychically. Not no. There's just if you've watched one Hallmark movie, a dog Hallmark movie, or a Air Buddies or whatever, it's like one too many. They're exactly the same. It's a shame too, because the dog genre could be like the most beautiful film genre. There are amazing dog films, obviously, both highbrow, lowbrow, whatever you want to call it. But oh man, that one really that was tough.
I'm curious. I know it's a collective, and there are a lot of people. You two seem to be the most prominent names we see over and over attached to the projects. How do you guys? What do each of you do? What do you bring specifically to the team? Do your talents overlap, or does one of you do one thing and one of you do another?
I don't do any editing. No, we actually we split it up really nicely. It's pretty it's like nice in that sense of we both edit a ton. So I mean, a lot of it, I'm gonna make I'm gonna show how the sausage is made and that it's very boring and depressing, like
Extremely.
sausage. It's just like a lot of it is like the creativity definitely comes in for sure. I mean, it's there the whole time, but our version of it is still like you just have to sift through so many things. And there's, of course, there's an art to that in itself. And like, sure. But between the two of us, there's just like, well, we both have to. Like, there's no room for anything other than that. Then when we can kind of like everyone's kind of got their own like talents as far as when the edit goes, but then it's like I do more illustration where Nick does all of the like, costume and puppet creation and actual like physical building. So in that sense, it really is like nice in the true sense of the word collective.
Yeah, and I think we're all playing to our strengths for sure when we get the opportunity to. But like old Ghoulie was saying there, it's like you you really have to just do the most boring labor imaginable for thousands of hours to even get to that point. So
Yeah.
sometimes we like to skip over that fact, but my God, it's so boring just organizing piles of dog footage.
Giles, do you have a question? I don't want.
Oh, well, I guess sure. Seeing as I really didn't know anything about you fine individuals or your group until about an hour ago when I started looking around online.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, a fan.
Well, I knew about the dog movie from jumping on to 366 8 or 9 years ago. It says you met up at Ohio University. Would you be willing to talk a little bit about that? Did you have some classes together, share a homeroom? Were you roommates? What
Oh, sure, we had classes.
We did. We had classes.
those, yeah.
We thought, I thought I think for the first couple of years, I thought Nick was a bad kid, just like, oh, that guy's bad.
Which
He's a
I
bad guy.
was.
Which, no, you weren't. It was that, you lived in a dorm full of monsters. So I associated you with in like a pig pen.
Well, he was also offended that I had burnt a couch, which I did burn that couch,
I
but
love that couch. Wasn't
no
my
one wants
couch.
to, no one wants to talk about what the couch did to me. So
Well, I'd like to think we're a safe space for that, unless, of course, it's you who doesn't want to
Well,
talk
yeah,
about
I thought that this mod that the couch was in was a safe space, and that safe space was taken away from me.
yeah, it actually turns out that I was just kind of a monster.
Yeah, yeah. No, but we had classes. We hated school in the same way we hated OU. I mean, we don't like. I mean, we go back and forth, but I mean, I like, education is great in a certain,
In theory.
in theory, and we were just like little shit kids going to a state school. They were just like, man, this place sucks.
And
Yeah.
honestly, if I may be honest for once in my life, I didn't have much direction and I was just fucking off. And I met Dimitri and he was a deeply inspiring person to be around. So I think once we got started, there was just kind of no stopping. We just started making stuff, and once I started making stuff, I felt pretty good. So
You're too kind, and that's true. I think that's where it kind of was, is that we had like but I think the two of us kind of had a little bit just of like a very specific need that we weren't really getting, like the itch wasn't getting scratched where we were, and we were like, we know we want to do something, and like you do this and I do this, and what are we doing? Like, what are we good at? What are, when you're like that age and like everything around you just kind of makes you mad and like excited at the same time. Like you're very like hopeful, but also you feel like it's like, at least I was like, is it too late for something? I don't even know what it was. I think when you're just like comparing yourself or whatever, just young person stuff. And then, yeah, I think just that like motivation, I think we like help motivate each other in that way of just like, nah, we want to go on the road, but we don't want to do like sketch comedy, but we want to do this thing. And, it was very nice how it like evolved in that way pretty quickly.
What years were you at the Ohio U? In Athens, right?
In glorious Athens, Ohio, from 2000 to like we stayed a little extra 05, I think. Yeah, 05.
Mm-hmm.
So, that was still like obviously, I think it was, well, still we were living in a post Napster, currently, I guess, like at that point, E-Bombs world, pre-YouTube universe, if that makes sense. A very specific time in American history.
Yeah, those are actually my years at
oh, nice.
At college. So
yeah, when it was like hard to find a video, like you were like, oh, there's this thing, you got to see it. Where do I find it? I don't know. Where do we send it to me? I guess I'll email it to you. I mean, that's like Friendster and whatever came about. But even then, videos really weren't. I guess they kind of were, but not in the way obviously nothing like what they were now. Video on the internet was terrible for like a long time. It was very choppy and bad. So it was like harder, and that kind of made it. But that's kind of what made it more fun. It was like you couldn't really dig for anything online, so you had to go into the real world. Not that we even thought about it being a choice. It was just like, oh, there's so much stuff that like needs to be on here. Like,
yeah, and it kind of turned us into like to hounds, to maniacal hounds who were just looking for videos and cutting them up and putting them on the internet.
And curators, right? Too.
Yeah, accidental curators.
Yeah, I think that made it easy for that time on being just like on the internet. Like if you just kind of did anything, people were like, "Oh, what are you doing?" So for our way, yes, exactly. Like we thought of it as sort of being hoarders, I think at first, or that's what I kind of came to think of it later. But then really it is like, no, I think it is just, I mean, yes, that is, yes, but also archivists, that part too. where there's just kind of a need of like, well, I can't leave the store without that, like, what was something you were just showing me, like, I don't know, like a flower deck, just the most boring video, like, honestly, something we were just going through as a pile, and it's like, oh, a lot of these are just, Commodore was just saying, I don't know, they might just be a lot of people talking, and it's like, yeah, but either way, well, we have to have it. Not for like hoarding reasons, more just to be like, well, what if there's something? Look at that background. Oh, that lighting's pretty amazing. Look at that set. There's just something that there's like a need of like, but I can't let that part go. So
Yeah, there's almost
it's
something
torture.
special in every single, every tape. There's something worthwhile for us in there.
Yeah.
And I imagine since you got a little more known and popular, you started, you didn't have to go out and search for stuff. People would bring it to you, I would guess. People would find stuff and say,
people do. We're very thankful for fans who do. We're always like super appreciative, but honestly, mostly they bring Jerry's, which is great.
I think that was our fault. I think we screwed that up.
Yeah, like we're buds with the found footage fest folks and stuff like that, and just it's funny that they'll just be like, yeah, fan sent us this, and it's like, well, a fan sent 80 Jerry's this month. So wow, we've made our jobs twice as hard in that sense. But yeah, but that said, we've had plenty of hits, plenty of like gems from folks who don't put their names on the tapes, and then they go in a van, and then 2 years later we go, huh, this looks good. No, we try to be better about it. But that has happened too many times, so we apologize to anyone who may have been offended. But yeah.
Seems like you get a lot of you get instructional videos, which I guess you can find at thrift stores, but you also have things like I see like training videos, corporate training videos, which actually sometimes can be some of the funniest things when they're
Oh yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
Those are like the diamonds in the rough for sure. Those are fewer and fewer and fewer. I mean, they've always been hard to find, but it's the hardest. There's no physical stores that really have VHS anymore. It's very rare. So you might even say it's almost impossible to find. But and because they made so few of them, you wouldn't really find them in a thrift store. It would be ones that were given to us over the years of like, oh, I work at Trader Joe's and I'll just steal that for you. And it's like, cool, thank you. Stuff like that. But yeah, there's a never ending. What was I just watching? Something online of like, I think it was Cinemark or something. I can't remember what franchise it was, but they were just, the Cinemark ones are great. The little sketches, the world building that they create. Those are endless.
and also there's plenty of Bible thumping ones, so that's a never
too many.
Oh God, no shortage there. My God.
I wish.
Oh.
Which is kind of maybe a segue into so we talked about Doggy Woggies, Poochie Woochies. A lot of fans at our sites have recommended we check out your other features, of which a lot of them are more compilations, but the two kind of themed ones that people are interested in that I've been very lax in getting to are number one, The Great Satan. Can you tell us about The Great Satan?
Oh, we're quite proud of The Great Satan. I mean, I think that was us kind of exercising our demons in that we had so many Christian tapes that we had to move through. So it is a combination of thousands of Christian tapes mixed with like D horror movies. It just came out to this goopy, soupy, horrible mess. It's wonderful.
Yeah, we went out seeking goop, is what we said. We were like, this will probably be our goopiest movie by far, and I think we succeeded in that. But it's definitely our darkest in many ways. That and Kids Club, they definitely are kind of bookends to each other in a way. Where like if the Great Satan is sort of what those people are afraid of, Kids Club is the world that they want to live in, that those same people want to kind of create for themselves. Where Kids Club is similar concept, but all using kids tapes and footage and that kind of thing. Again, in the same realm of like instructional sing along, whatever the world of kid tapes are, which is also endless, like dog
Yeah.
tapes. But unlike dog tapes, way more diverse in their insanity, in their colors, and their plot lines and fantasy. I mean, just everything. There's so much more there. So anyway,
And I think
yeah,
from from a technical standpoint, we reached kind of like a pinnacle of what we were doing too. Like I think with those two features, our editing style and Ghoul School's work with score, I think was really elevated. So they're a lot more cohesive than like the 2012 era Doggy Woggies
Yeah.
work that we were doing.
yeah, we got a lot just more. We got bored easier. You get bored pretty easy, so you just keep having to like switch it up in that way. But then there's also things like, oh, what if exactly like what if we spent more time on the visuals on Great Satan and Kids Club than pretty much we like ever have before? What if we had more time to work on sound and sound design and how it all flows together and blah blah blah? Because usually there is like a tight timeline. Eventually, it always comes down to something, and it's like, no, I think if we can hone in on that, that made it a pretty different experience in that way. Yeah, I've not looked back on Doggy Woggies in many years, maybe about a decade. I think after we toured with it for 3 months, I was like, yeah, I'm good. I don't need to ever see this again. But
Yeah,
yeah,
we were supposed to have a 10-year anniversary
yeah,
screening and performance in Los Angeles, and we were releasing it on VHS finally, but COVID canceled it, so we didn't
it
end
was
up
like
getting to see it.
right at the beginning of it. But yeah, exactly. That was going to be like oh, okay, I can revisit this kind of thing.
Yeah,
But yeah. And then what
get
did
the
we do in
stinky old
between?
dog costumes out.
Oh right, that was why, because we went on the road and did a very kind of a you know post Chuck E. Cheese type live show where we dressed up as dogs for that was 12 weeks, right? That was a 12-week straight tour, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, it was
that's
very
right.
long.
That was in the beginning. That was that was right at the launch of Doggy Woggies. And what was I gonna say? Well,
Were you
yeah,
going to
I
talk
mean,
about dancing for
oh,
six
and how
hours
they
while wearing a
yes,
dog
and how
costume
the,
in
the
Florida?
costumes have the costumes only got worse and worse and worse about halfway through. About halfway through, give or take. We had many weeks of no one can clean them. We tried of these big shaggy dog costumes. There were three of them: a dog catcher costume, a whatever. It just kept going, and yeah, it turns out when you're on a 12-week tour and your costumes stink, there is no one can do anything for you.
And no one wants to be near you either.
Yes, and that too.
Nobody tells you that at Ohio U and
No, they don't.
No, there should be a class.
Yeah.
At least a guidance counselor can sit down and advise.
Yeah.
No, they wouldn't care.
So I noticed in that I see a trend. You've gone from dogs, which are not so terrible, down to Satan, which is pretty terrible, down to kids, which is really terrible. Is there anywhere below that you can go? I mean, politicians maybe next.
I think we've hit the bottom. I don't
I
think.
think we've hit. If I made a politic movie, I'd rather, stick my head in the toilet. No. In a lot of ways, it's like, I mean, look, it is something we put in everything, and that's something like that's just been a part of it. Is there is like a message there that is pretty clear. You don't really have to guess where we kind of stand just in the world by watching our stuff, which is like a hard thing to do within found footage, but it's like it's just been a part of what we've done for so long. And with Great Satan and kids, it really was like, I don't know how much more clear, like I don't know what, exactly, like you said, like I don't know if there's a deeper level in that sense of like themes. We've been very, we've been saying that like themes kind of tuckered us out.
Yeah, I think we're all done there.
Yeah.
We have talked, if there's another movie left in us, it's going to be like fully far out there, just like our ambient album, just as far
Yeah,
from Earth as
is it like
possible. So
post literate, are there no words? Is it only sound? I don't know. We're just like, we don't know what's interesting to like us with all this stuff anymore. It's just crazy. It's been so many years of just looking at all this insanity. I'm looking at it now as I'm talking to you. I'm opening up a folder Commodore got me of a couple hundred tapes, and it is like, there's still so much beautiful stuff to be found. But yeah, it's like, where do you go from there?
Wow, I mean, you've reached the end of terribleness almost. It can't be. There must be more terribleness out there.
I think there's plenty of terribleness. It's just that we want to live a nice life where we're not staring at
Yeah,
it all day.
I think that's it. I think the when there's and we're so and it's awesome how many people are we're not the first found footage folks. We will not be the last found footage folks. We're just like in like a pretty short still history in I don't know, the last 50, 60 years, I guess at the most, something like that. And it's amazing to see like young people doing it, but that's it. I'm just like, wow, you've got that edge. Oh yeah, you found your first Colby tape. I know what that was like. Oh yeah, post. But I think we're trying to figure that out of like what's that other thing that is interesting to us. There was a couple years ago, was that right before, no, that was a while ago now, it was right before COVID, like the summer before COVID. We went to a video store in the Valley in LA, and this beautiful video store, Odyssey Video, right?
I think so.
And we went through it all. It was very sad to see it go. It wasn't even because they were running out of business. It was just the landlords wanted to put in a restaurant or something that I'm sure is doing great, by the way. I'm sure whatever's there is better than a beautiful 40-year-old video store that was still keeping itself in business. Anyway, they were like, do you want to go in the back room in like the porn room? And we're like, oh, haha, sure, I guess. We've seen all this other stuff. There was really nothing that we didn't really want anything. It was all a bunch of, just like mainstream movies. And then we've had it in a pile for how many years now? Just this pile of how many porn tapes? I guess it's a couple hundred.
I counted them at some point. It's more than 500, less than 1,000.
Oh, okay. So, it's more than, yeah.
A nice number.
That's a level that we'll never get to. I doubt we'll ever get to that level fully. I'll never do a film, but it is interesting to look at another era of footage, which, you'd call like late Boogie Nights era porn, like when, it's just like we shoot, and then, whatever, we edit it later, that kind of thing. But it is fascinating to see that world of just like sets, production design, lighting, all of it, actors that you're just like not used to seeing, and in that context, it's like all unknowns to us at least. And that is at least something that you're like, yeah, again, it's there. It's just that is an endless well of sadness and whatever. And beauty.
Yeah,
both.
It's a dangerous door to kick open, I imagine.
Yeah, it's dangerous. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. It's just like, I guess that hasn't been touched that much. People have done their fair share of it, found footage collectives, but anyway, it's a rough one. But the intros and outros, those are usually pretty amazing.
Always good.
Yeah.
I was going to say, at the Fantasia Festival, I did see a found footage collage movie that was made from hardcore. And it never got any distribution, or I don't think it was seen outside when it was screened at the festival. And they did include some hardcore footage. I thought it would have been funnier and better if they just restricted themselves to the acting parts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What was it called?
I can't remember the name.
Is this when you covered it, Greg?
Yeah, I can look it up.
That's cool. I'm just curious because that's no, then apparently it has been done. Yeah, again, I knew that some folks, I think there's been eras of it. I know it's always been a little bit like, okay, that's a whole thing. But yeah, exactly. It doesn't need any penetration of any kind. It's like, no, the intros and outros and in betweens are kind of like that's those gems that you're trying to find in just in anything, you know.
The
It's
act.
called Ultrasex.
Ultra,
Oh,
huh?
yeah, that was-
Stitches together scenes
Huh.
from dozens of adult movies using comic overdubbing to create a science fiction story about, and then you sort of, yeah.
Nice.
Huh.
I
Very
will
nice.
check that out. I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
it's available anywhere, I like I say, I don't know that it ever got it was ever seen after it screened there. I certainly know.
Sure.
But yeah, that would be something I would certainly be interested in if you could stitch together like a soap opera movie out of just the non-sex scenes from adult movies. I think there's real promise there.
Right, exactly. It's like there's something, but then there's also a beauty in just like ladies getting their haircuts. It's like that's a whole genre of tapes or something, you know? It's just like how to do your hair. And there's something so just like beautiful about these sets. Like there are these voids in space with red grids, and you know, I'm sure they were all taped in the valley, probably minutes away from Odyssey Video when it was still open. It's all that stuff of just like, yeah, you start to kind of get deeper and deeper into the worlds of that stuff, no matter how kind of benign, you know, as I'm sure you all understand as the patience that you have.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm looking at a lady right now just like playing golf in all neon. All these old ladies playing golf, and they're wearing what look like mall cups from the 1990s. And it's amazing. It's a work of art. And it's like, I don't care that it's not, there's probably nothing funny in this tape, but is there something visual that we can take and turn it into something? I don't know. That's what we're aiming for.
Nice.
So I also know that you guys did you did like an installation or maybe you've done several installations, but one for Meow Wolf.
That's right.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
We did.
When was that?
We just hit our 2-year anniversary. We were saying that is our full on. If Doggy Woggies was a sort of a precursor, Doggy Woggy sort of was, I think our live show was a precursor to. We love world building. That's very important to us. Every live show, that's like huge. Again, with Commodore's costumes, it shapes the show. You know, it's like a whole kind of like that weaves in and out of the show because also audiences need a break. Anyway, with Doggy Woggies, we were like, we love this world of Chuck E. Cheese, of McDonald's play place. How can we explore that further? Okay, you know, whatever. We just kind of like put it aside, and then yeah, Nick Commodore was working with. When did you start working with him?
With Meow Wolf, we worked on the House of Eternal Return in Santa Fe. So there is some of our work in there, and there were some of our videos in there. So that was, I think 2015, maybe something like that.
That sounds right.
And then
yeah,
then
then
we
this is
started working on Denver.
Yeah, it's about a 700 square foot space where I mean, it's a living, like it's a all day, every day open living world that we created. So it's essentially think of it as we describe it as a post-human McDonald play place or Chuck E. Cheese or whatever you want to, you know, in that realm. There are animatronics, there are 8-foot talking trees that interact with each other and you can interact with. There's a custom arcade that was built just for the room. There's tons of artwork everywhere. There's an hour's worth of video. Anyway.
Yeah, it was I think it was a kind of an opportunity for us to like build our own world that is like everything is terrible. I mean, everything that we love about everything is terrible, but just fully of our creation. And if you watch like the video, you can fully see like, you know, that whatever hour of content that we made for the room, you can really see that we like it is just everything is terrible barfed out into an installation.
And that's in
there's like
Santa Fe.
That's in Denver.
Oh, Denver. Okay.
Yeah.
We have about 4 minutes left. Giles, do you have a question? I know, but do you have any other questions before you ask your final question?
Oh, well, I guess before I can go ahead and ask the penultimate question, but this has been most pleasantly illuminating so far. It's like future plans? Because you say you've burnt out in one way when you've hit the height of your craft. Are you apprenticing out? Are you thoughts about what's over the next horizon other than a stack of porn? What's coming for everything?
We got stuff planned. We got some upcoming, hopefully more installation work that we're very excited about. I think that's what's interesting. We're kind of just going in whatever direction we kind of feel like going in. So I think we're just sort of, we got our computers open. We got our with Premiere. We've got more, it's like we've sort of got everything set up, but we're just sort of like, what feels good,
Yeah, we're just not
Commodore's
sure of
gonna
what
keep-
what
yeah.
it's going to become. I'm
Right.
sitting between two machines capturing tapes right now, so it's not like nothing is happening. We just don't know what it is for sure. And what it looks
So
like.
there's,
But
it's an open world, I think, in that, which is nice that we're kind of like, what do we want to make? Is it just like short stuff for the internet again, which we had really kind of gotten away from? We've been more focused on the bigger, things like a movie or, or Meow Wolf type projects. So those kind of things. So yeah, for us, we're just like, what haven't we gotten to do? What's fun? What's interesting?
and I think to be specific, because I think we sometimes forget all the things that actually are happening. We're probably about to announce that we're going
yeah.
on tour in Europe with Kids Club, so that'll be a lot of fun. And then
That's right.
Ghoul School, you just made a short that I made a puppet for that got accepted into Sundance for Crepes Pete.
That is true. So it's still, and again, it's like still the same elements are there. I pay homage to found footage in the short. The Kids Club tour is an extension of something that we started doing post COVID, like whatever, 2022 is when that first went on the road, but hasn't gotten to see Europe. Again, involves puppets, costumes, insanity. It's all kind of the same brain boily mentality. And it's nice to see it in different formats, whether it's narrative film or found footage or installation or live shows. It's like that to us is why it's like in that sense it feels more like a collective that it can just sort of like be so many things, which I think is so cool. It's just like it's a state of mind, really, when you think about it.
It truly is.
Terrible state of mind. And we are essentially out of time. So I want to thank Ghoul School and Commodore
Gilgamesh. Yeah, it was great chatting with you.
giving us something to talk about.
Great chat, and thanks for keeping the world of of film journalism a thing and movies that people haven't seen before and getting the word out of and stuff like that. And again, just thank you for letting us grace your cover so many years ago.
Yeah, we really appreciate y'all.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
Good luck.
Okay, bye everybody. Bye.